So, Lee Jones here from esports.net. I'm with Sentinels coach Kaplan after knocking out Gen.G, the home favourites at VALORANT Champions. Um, yeah, I guess to start with, pleased with that, and how massive was it to knock out the favourites like that?
It was a lot of fun. It was definitely a special experience for us. We're used to being the favorites, especially in America, 'cause we always have the home crowd. So to play against it's funny. Like, I'm sure the players experience it more, but even from the coach room, I realized, oh, I don't notice that I haven't heard the crowd until they went around, and then you hear all the cheering and you go, oh yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It's kind of fun to play as the underdog for once.
What were they like at the end when you guys did win? They still give you a few cheers then?
Yeah, they were definitely a good crowd definitely good sports. The crowd for sure just enjoyed the game, I think.
Um, I just wanted to talk about this, basically the turnaround that you guys are going on now. I was watching an interview that John Cutie did, I think with Pedro Romero, after the last win, basically saying that before that it sort of felt like you guys had forgotten how to win, and it looks like it's just completely the opposite now. So what do you think has changed there?
Yeah. Look, obviously a lot's changed. People always like to talk about all the strategy and changes like that, but when we're losing games, just complete stomp, single digit, 13-6, 13-5, 13-7, and then we go out and we win them, same thing, single digit, 13-6, 13-7, 13-8. Anyone ought to know. Obviously, there's something pretty fundamental and internal that's changed. So for us, it's just been not shutting down, not giving up, not coming into games or in the middle of the game deciding to be quiet, right? I think in the past, people have struggled to share frustrations in the middle of matches. They're not working together on things like micro plans and talking a lot in freeze times as a team, relying on others to do that work for them. So I think the team have finally gotten to a point where we consistently understand, hopefully for the rest of the tournament, that we just need to be communicating at all times, right? Middle rounds, after rounds, start rounds, when things are going well, when things are going bad, when we're frustrated, we need to communicate it. And when somebody's not, somebody else needs to hold them accountable and communicate that they're not communicating enough. And I have seen all of those things pretty consistently since the start of the FPX game. We have our moments, our dips, but very relieved to see us picking up on that and showing some consistency with applying that in games.
Sure. Do you think that makes you guys the favourites now? You've got to maybe put a bit of a target on your backs, having knocked out Gen.G.
Um, I mean, I'm sure for a lot of viewers and fans, right? Because they're like it's like they just watched the Madrid Grand Final game. Madrid winner just knocked out the Shanghai winner. I'm sure that, and it's there's so many eyes on Sen all the time. It's fun to make narratives about us, so I'm sure people will say we're the favorites. Um,
Sure.
I don't really think too much about that stuff. Just gonna pay attention to whatever opponent we get, and respect them and go in prepared to defeat them, and do my best to get all the guys buying into that internal narrative and not paying attention to the noise. But yeah, I'm sure the noise will be that we're the favorites now.
Sure. Do you think it's helpful to have played earlier than some of the other teams as well? Then I know that there's no more games now. I think until well, for you guys at least, until earliest Wednesday. Do you think it's useful to have that extra day ahead of, for example, the teams that are playing tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely. The rest will help. Sometimes I think the rest. It's funny. Sometimes when you think the rest would help, it doesn't. But in this case, I think the confidence is really high. Obviously, from this win, so I'm not worried about us having too much time before we next play, and I think the rest will just be good for us. Yeah.
Sure. In both maps, then you had really good starts. I think it was 5-0 up in both, if I remember correctly, and then both times Gen.G sort of come back, and then you kind of stop the comeback. So what was that like? I guess from like the sort of mental fortitude side. So when Gen.G started coming back, for your guys not to kind of get tilted off that and let it get too much into their heads.
Yeah. I think that a lot of the basics is, oh, let's have a go next attitude. Let's just go next when we lose a round, right? But I want people to talk about rounds when they lose them. A, because there might be a solution in there. There might be something that we need to fix on a micro level. So we maybe run into that round or a similar thing again. And B, it makes sense to get your frustration out so you can stay optimistic and talking and working together. And there's definitely a lot of that going on. I don't even think people got too frustrated today, but a lot of collaborating and working hard. I'd say in the Lotus first half that got slow, it was actually just a tough game, and we were working real hard, and ults were snowballing and things like that. For Icebox, definitely harder, more creative problem solving. We only picked up the map the day before, so uh, yeah, there was definitely like a little bit of frustration and whatnot, but I think that everyone's staying optimistic, and we really went into that map with an attitude of like, hey, we win this, great. We lose this, and we go to map 3, great. Like we
Mhm.
floated this map, we barely practiced it. Let's just go out there and have fun.
Sure. I just want to ask you a little bit more about Gen.G as well. I know obviously they've been billed as the favourites, understandably, and there'd even been talk of like, if they win champions, are they the best team that we've ever had in Valorant? Um, kind of what do you where do you rank them in that kind of discussion, and how do you think that maybe changes now after what's happened today?
Um, it's hard. I think it's hard to make claims of any team being the best in Valorant because you have teams with different strengths and weaknesses, and they're playing in different circumstances against different opponents, right? This year is different than the last year in terms of who you're against and what the format's like and things like that. But I definitely think they're a really incredible team. I mean, the fact that their strengths are very clear, right? They're super drilled. They're very individually confident. They have a lot of good protocols, a lot of good routines. They know how to play together. They don't change much strategically, right? They've played the same comps all year on every map, and they've won a lot all year doing that, which is a testament to their teamwork. Um, but I'm sure sometimes that is helpful for the other team, right? To know what to expect, right? Because they're not changing much. You can kind of expect them not to change much. And I think it's fair to say after the grand final in this game that sometimes when the pressure's high, I'm sure they're still working on some of that stuff, right? Like you could feel it in the game today.
Hmm.
So are they the best? I don't think anyone's the best.
Fair enough. Um, One question I wanted to ask as well. So when we spoke back in Madrid, then we spoke about how it was your kind of first global event of that of that size, I guess, and you spoke about basically like learning on the job to to be in that environment. How different is it now this time then? Now that you've done an event like that and it's a second time coming in, is there a lot of stuff that you've learned from the first one that you think gives you an advantage now this time or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. Um, it I can't really recall the scheduling as well in Madrid. I think it was more go go go. So like to be fair, I think the scheduling has been more kind to us in terms of having time and breaks between games, which is awesome of Riot. Um, but we definitely have been able to be more I've found it easier to be more patient with our struggles and what we're working on. Make sure that there's still time to get out as a team. Make sure there's still time to rest, especially for myself individually, at least. I make sure, hey, it's okay to throw on some Netflix and kind of like not think about Valorant for an hour at night. Like just because you're at a huge tournament doesn't change that. And in fact, it might even be more important because you're at a huge tournament. That's a hard thing for anyone to grasp. I think the whole team has done a good job embracing that. And I also think something that's helped us a lot is we got to boot camp, right? We got to come here a week early and adjust, and that's entirely thanks to our org owner Rob for being willing to invest in that and see the value in that. And he was a huge proponent of it, probably the biggest proponent. And I actually think it's played a very big role in how comfortable we've been at this tournament.
Sure. Just one final very quick question then. I remember as well one of the press conferences in Madrid, someone asked a question of like what the players had to eat that day or something, and basically every player had not eaten anything. So please tell me now that you're in Seoul, especially where wherever you are, you just step out a few meters away down the street, and there's something really nice to eat. So tell me they're actually eating and taking advantage of it now.
Oh yeah. There's definitely some boring room service nights, some safe delivery. Second's a big Subway enjoyer. I guess they have a certain sauce here in Korea that he likes a lot that maybe they discontinued in America. I don't know, but he's pumped about it every time we're here. We love our Korean barbecue, but we got to be, space it out well because a lot of it's pork and beef, and John Cutie can't be eating that. So we've explored it all. We had the Japanese food here is actually really surprisingly good, and it's often a good option because it's got like seafood and chicken options.
Sure.
And we got some katsu last night. It was really good. I forgot the
Nice.
name exactly of what it's called, but it's like katsu that you kind of grill it in front of you. Like there's these little hot plates.
Cool.
Really good.
Very nice. Glad you're enjoying it then. And yeah, thanks for the interview, Kaplan, and best of luck in the rest of the tournament.